from the day we got married. Train wreck on top of a dumpster fire. Like there was nothing functioning other than the fact that we are both too stubborn to quit. That is literally our one quality that has.
If you don't believe in miracles, we're still married.
Hey everybody, and welcome to today's podcast, Flip the Mind Script. I'm your host, Jen.
I'm Brandon.
If this is your first time joining us, we are husband and wife, and we talk about the 4 different areas that basically are the foundations of your life, which is your mind, your body, your relationships, and your finances or your resources. We typically try to focus on one of those or an area of those each podcast. And so today, we're going to talk about mind, specifically your own set of rules.
Okay.
I think this is kind of brand new because I don't think you knew. I don't think you were thinking of going this way.
But no, it's fine. I'm fine.
Yeah, but part of your mindset, as I feel like both of us, we have tried to work with the whole mindset, and I hate the word fixing ourselves, but better ourselves, grow, continue to grow.
And but sometimes fixing, I don't know, I'd have to think about the verbiage on that, but sometimes you do need to fix things, shift, maybe, change, and then grow. I see growing and changing kind of the same, but growing, like you're just trying to better yourself, you're trying to improve and, I want to, learn new things. Like sometimes you got to dig in there and kind of mess the soil up, add some fertilizer, pull some weeds out before things will grow.
Yes. Yeah, actually in a lot of self-help books, they use the analogy that your mind is basically a garden and weeds are going to just kind of naturally grow. Like we don't live in a society where flowers are just going to naturally grow. And so one of those areas that I like to talk, that in my mind, I like to compartmentalize is when it comes to mindset, knowing your rules is kind of like knowing your starting point in a GPS. Like, right? Like if you're going to punch something in a GPS, you have to know 2 locations. You have to know where you're starting and you have to know where you want to go. And knowing your rules is kind of like knowing your starting point. Now, your rules in my mind are your energy type, your human design, your Enneagram, your
who you are at the core, not your person, kind of your personality, but the stuff that never changes.
Yeah.
Like your personality can change as you change as a person, but there are some things, the way it's like your DNA, you can get bigger muscles, you can get in shape, but you're not really changing your height. You're not changing your eye color, things like that.
Yeah, I don't think you can be happy unless you know who you are. And I think it's, if you don't know who you are and you don't know how to live like yourself, your true authentic self, I don't care if you have the most amazing partner, you're still never going to be happy because that's where your happiness comes from, is you living your authentic self. And your authentic self is knowing those rules. I think there are some people who are really strong in their authenticity. And so they don't need to, not that they don't need it, but they're not seeking who they are.
I call that they're living their best life.
Yeah. However,
they're living authentically. Yeah. And they're living their best life, doing what they want to do, when they want to do it, how they want to do it, like everything.
Yeah. However, I think
doesn't
the majority,
mean they're growing.
Right. Doesn't mean they're growing.
And it doesn't, yeah.
However, I think there's a good majority of people that genuinely don't know their rules or don't know their authenticity.
And that's who
that's who we're talking
to. Yes.
And I would say at the beginning, labels can be very helpful.
I realize when you don't know, the labels are very helpful until you figure it out, and then you start learning and living more authentically and true. then the labels just fall away. You know it's there. You don't really care
Right.
because that's not your focus. But you kind of need labels to give you direction in the beginning to help you understand, what something is.
I also agree, though, that some people get stuck on the labels.
Yes.
In all the different tests that I have taken, I constantly find people who, when they take the test, they now use it not as a starting point, but they use it as an excuse as to why they can't do something.
Or justification, or a like verifying and validating who they say they are,
Yeah.
whether they are or not. Like I've seen it both ways, like with what you're saying, a validation of, oh, I see, I'm a low energy type person. I don't I'm not a people person. So I just hide in the corner and that's not me. And so I can't do anything.
In my mind, when I learn something about myself, take the example of introvert, shy. I don't, not that I don't like people, but it's harder for me to be around people for long periods of time. I I look at that and I say, okay, it's not that I can't do it; it's that it's harder. But it was interesting because jumping to the fact that the way I grew up, I was forced to do it a lot. So when people see me, they naturally think, "Oh, you're fine being with people. You like being with people." And I just learned that skill. Well, I was forced into that skill, if I'm really being honest.
You didn't learn it.
But I learned it.
And so you wanted to.
Which I'm grateful for now. I really am. I'm grateful because I am that introverted, shy person, but I can talk to people. I know how to talk to people. I just can't do it for very long, but I can do it. We are literally the exact same. And one person looked at it as I can't, and I looked at it as like, it's not going to be my favorite, but I'm now going to have to learn that skill. And I think that's the challenge to most people. I think it's great to learn labels and it's great to know who you are.
Use them to help you, not hold you back.
Yes, perfectly said.
Yeah, there's a lot of different, what do you call them? Personality profiling. Like there were some that we really got into and I thought those were it, but things were always just a little off.
Yeah.
A little off here and a little off there, and it just wasn't quite right.
Yeah.
And I would say energy types. I know there's other books out there, other people. I'm not going to get into all the history of it. I don't really care. The point is, Carol Tuttle she made an awesome system with it, especially for women. You can do it for men too, but it's geared towards women, which is fine. That's typically women that go after it anyway.
Yeah.
Guys are really missing out if they don't, try to look into this. Like I would advise getting her stuff, reading her books, audios, whatever. The Child Whisperer, I think, is I actually like that version better because it's more simplified. I like both of them. Like it helps with your kids and stuff, all relationships, but basically she just made such a good system. It's just very easy to read and understand, and she did a really good job. That's why I would recommend her stuff. And as far as things we say and do, we're not experts. We're not perfect at all. I mean, we just keep learning and growing. I'd say the one thing that we're really good at is we keep changing and growing and we don't give up.
Yeah. That's like we are too stubborn to stop. That's really how we have gotten anywhere. And the other thing, so I would say, first figure this out for yourself, but then start looking at your relationships, whether it's a spouse or your kids.
Start with your most important relationships, the most immediate ones.
Yeah, so start with yourself,
and then
then extend to your kids and your spouse or people
whoever that is.
Like extend your circle. And it's great to learn about yourself. Like it can be, if you're a person you're trying to figure out who you are, you're trying to figure out your authenticity, this is a huge help. But if you have relationship problems, if there's somebody at work you can't get along with, if there's stuff of like you and your spouse for decades have been fighting over and you cannot figure out why you're fighting about this, I would put money on it's
Oh, yeah.
something to do with this.
Yep, absolutely.
You start to recognize other people and you start to recognize, like, okay, I am this type, like I'm a 4, and when I see a 1, I know they're going to be like all boppy and like, woo, let's fun. And I know that's not who I am. That's okay. That's okay that that's not who you are, but they also get to be them.
Yes.
And so that it allows you to walk through life being your authentic self, but allowing other people to be their authentic self, and it doesn't affect you, which is literally the ultimate goal in like everything. So learning your energy type, we've really gotten into like human design a little bit, and that's been interesting and fairly accurate.
Yeah, that from what I've seen with that, like I want to keep learning more about that. It's really interesting. Um, Basically, let's assume human design is accurate. You go into it and it tells you exactly who you are. Well, that's great. That being said, you still need to learn who you are. You need to understand what that means. That's why energy types and understanding everybody's energy. There are 4. And thinking of the elements: water, air, fire, and earth.
Or literally 1, 2, 3, 4.
And 4. Yep, in that order.
You're either a 1, you're a 2, you're a 3, or you're a 4. Very primary.
Correct. There's more to it than that.
Yeah.
But you got to read the books. And I would say that because we refer to that a lot. Anything we refer to, we'll try to tell you, oh, go find it in this book or whatever, because we kind of read a lot.
Now, technically, you're all 4. You're all 4.
Something.
So, as an example,
not all 4s. You're all 1, 2, 3, and
no,
4.
but you have a primary, you have a secondary, you have whatever's third and whatever's fourth. So, as an example, I would be a 4, 3, 1, 2. The thing that I like about all the types is that you have something that is a real gift to the world. If that gift is taken too far, it becomes a challenge. So type 1s, their gift is they're very lighthearted, but if it's taken too far, now they can be seen as childish. They can be seen as not taken seriously. Type 2s, they're very emotionally based in the world, which is great, and they like being comfortable and they take care of the world. But if it's taken too far, they really ignore their own needs, and they're kind of a martyr in a way.
I just realized I said water first. It's if you're going in numbered order, it's air, water, fire, earth.
Okay.
You know, what's the Avatar? The last Airbender, the last Airbender Avatar, whatever. Like this is nothing new. Like the Chinese have, referred to things and the elements, and it sounds hokey and weird sometimes, but trust me, this is very useful stuff.
Well, I feel like if people are looking into this type of podcast, they're probably a little hokey.
I would hope.
You know what I mean? Because if you're trying to grow and you're trying to get better, you do have to enter the realm of hokiness and mindset and energy. Like you just do. You're not going to name one person that's like successful in all areas of life. I'm not just talking about money. They don't just have a ton of money. I'm saying like people who are genuinely balanced in life. Every single one of them talks about manifestation or energy or like mindset in some way or another. They all have their
way of doing it.
Yeah.
It's called different things, but it's all kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Maybe some people are better at it than others,
The only way
to different people's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's just stumbled upon our podcast looking for like.
Well, so is all I was going to say. I keep going off. Basically, you can take a test like the Enneagram. What's it called?
Enneagrams.
Yeah, that thing.
Yeah.
The one. You can take tests, personality, whatever. But the important thing is, like with Carol Tuttle and her energy type stuff, she doesn't have a test. That kind of annoyed me at first because I was so used to just taking tests and everything. But you need to figure out who you are. That's the point. And if you just take a test, it's not going necessarily going to tell you. If you're living your best life and you're being authentic, you don't even need to take the test because you already know. But if you're trying to force yourself to be a certain way, or you want to be, or think you want to be a certain way, you're going to answer the test in a way that gives you answers to validate that. That's why a test isn't a good idea.
Well, that's why it didn't work for us. I think some people can take tests and it comes out accurate. We never did.
If you're messed up and you don't know that you're messed up, but you think you're good and you're trying and you just take a test, it's going to be wrong.
Yeah.
And you're still going to be not living, authentically.
Well, we're both really good examples.
Okay.
You're a high energy, but grew up in a very low energy family.
Mm-hmm.
I am a low energy who grew up in a very high energy family. So when we would take the test, because of the way we were raised, every answer you gave was, I was low energy, was like, I'm a shy person. I don't like hanging out with people. Like all of the really introverted type answers, because in your head, that was the right way to do it. I was the opposite. I would answer, I love being around people. Oh my gosh.
But it wasn't. You get burned out. You wouldn't know what's happening.
Because
I get mad when people would treat me like in the test result, we'd be with a group of people who all did the test and we're all doing some business or something together. And we're like, oh, so you're this. And they would treat me a certain way. I'd get really annoyed.
Yeah. So they wouldn't talk to you because they knew in the test, you don't like talking. So now everybody's talking to me. And I'm like, why is everybody talking to me? Leave me alone. Go ask Brandon questions.
It's not their fault. It's just, that's a point, that's an example of tests don't really work.
Well, and the funny thing is we'd go somewhere, everybody would talk to me. And of course, because I was trained or had that skill of talking to people and you didn't, you were used to just sitting and being quiet. But in your head, you're like, I want to get out of here. Like, I want to do stuff and I
can't sit anymore.
And I'm like, I am getting so burnt out. So then we go home. You've been sitting the whole time. I've been talking the whole time. And you're like, let's do something. And I'm like, I can't talk anymore. Just please leave me alone. Give me a minute. And you're like, but I want to go. I want to do. Like, we've been going and doing all day. And so now we've learned we're trying more to be our true authentic selves.
Still a learning.
Work in progress.
Thank you. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
A work in progress.
Yeah. So the first one we talk about is we're going to, especially during this podcast, I'm sure we'll talk a lot about energy types. We might even kind of start talking about human design because that's a new thing. But we do talk about love languages. That's another rule of yours. If look into it, see if it feels accurate or not.
I'm not as knowledgeable in that one. That's one thing that I do want to do more of because there is truth to it that I have found. And it's another step. It's another thing to learn.
Yeah. And it really is just learning. The key is learning about yourself and what it looks like to be your true authentic self. If you don't know what that looks like, start there because no partner, no amount of money, no, and I really even do believe it affects your health. When you're not being your true authentic self and you're trying to be this person that you're not, it affects literally every area of your life that you don't even realize it's affecting. And we try to go outside of us to find it. Like, I'm going to go make more money, or I'm with the wrong partner. My partner's wrong. It's not that I don't know myself. It's that my partner's wrong. And but if you know your true authentic self, then you can communicate that to your partner. Or if you're looking for a partner, if you're single right now and you're like, I'm looking for a partner, if you know who you are, you will know what you're looking for. And then when people show up, you can say, this is the person I'm looking for, or you are not a part of that. Thank you. Have a good life.
So
So-
I was going to ask a question.
Yeah.
So what are some things to look for somebody that is not living authentically? Maybe they think they're living authentically, but they're not. Maybe they are trying to, but they don't know how to do it. Doesn't matter why they are not, but things that somebody is doing, or the way their life is, things that are happening where they're not living authentically.
I think, do you have an answer to this?
I have some things, but I want to hear your view too.
Okay.
So I'll just start and then you tell yours. So just some things off the top of my head. I'd say people that have problems in relationships. I don't care who it is, your spouse, friends, family, parents, kids, coworkers. If you're like, everybody just ticks you off, or you keep getting divorced, or you keep breaking up with girlfriend, boyfriend, your kids don't want to talk to you. I don't know. Like relationships, basically, keep not working. Maybe not being happy. Just things like that. So yeah.
Well, yeah, I would say I'd go down that road. So one thing, if you are looking to other people or other things to make you happy, then you don't know your true authentic self. So I think it goes into the pillars that we talk about, right?
Okay.
So as an example, if your partner, children, spouse are causing a negative emotional reaction and it's continually happening, and you're looking to them to change themselves so that you can be happy, I would first, I don't think this is always accurate, or I don't think this is a 100% all the time. At the same time, I think it's pretty high, like 95% of the time, that if you want somebody else to change so you feel better, I don't think you're being authentic to yourself. And I think the majority of the time is that you're not being authentic to yourself if you care what other people think.
Yes.
So there's that. The other thing is, if you're if you're making money, I don't care how much money you make, and going to work doesn't just light you on fire with excitement. And I'm not talking about there's things about it you don't like, right? Like,
it's not about the money, it's about the work itself.
Right. Like, you don't have sheer purpose with your work. Like, I've even heard, there's a guy who was a lawyer. He was fine being a lawyer, but what he actually loved to do was go for like 2 months to like Uganda or Ecuador or something like that and build schools and get them running water to these third world countries. Okay. So he was fine being a lawyer because that lawyer created networks and money flow to actually do this true passion that he loved doing like 2-3 months out of the year. So it's not that your job has to be your true passion, but you have to have something that genuinely gets you so excited. He was okay being a lawyer because it got him the thing that he truly, really loved.
Okay.
And I think if you don't have that and you don't know what it is, that's a problem. That's
so
a big problem.
If you're saying things, I like to call it if this, then that. If you're making if this, then that statements, if even in your head, if this person would just stop being this way, then I could.
Yeah.
If my boss, I don't care, if my job, if I had more money, if you say like the if this, then that, you always need to turn it around. Like,
Yeah.
it's almost always turns back around on yourself and find out what is going on there. You're trying to project your problems or your issues on other people, right?
Yes, and I would say one more thing, because I don't think many people put this one together.
Okay.
People who are genuinely authentically happy with themselves typically are healthier. So if you have a lot
Oh,
of
good
health
one.
problems,
Okay. That's a good one.
I have found that people with a lot of health problems and a lot of health issues, whether it's mental or physical, typically there is some type of emotion behind that. And I get that life still thinks that is very woo woo and very like
What is?
that emotion can cause physical issues.
Oh,
That if you have migraines, it's not because you have childhood trauma. It's because you have your brain, your body's just not working correctly. That's still very like woo woo to say. But I have found with a lot of whether I'm working on myself or like working on a client, the majority, like 99.99999% of things go back to an emotional cause, not a physical cause.
well, even if you get injured, say you break your arm or something, your arm heals, the bone heals, you
Yeah.
just move on. Or, you do something to your shoulder. I don't know.
Yeah.
Injury should just heal. Your body just heals. That's a natural, normal thing.
But it's not a very
For it to keep being a problem. I'm saying, my point was, let's say you injure your shoulder and it's messed up. And 10 years later, well, my shoulder still, back when I broke it, and it was some emotional event that happened or something, you call it, you can say emotion got stuck in there, causing issues in a way.
right. And I was
It should have been healed.
I'm agreeing
Why is
with
it
you.
not healed?
Yes.
Right, that's what I'm explaining.
Totally agreeing
it
with
should
you.
just heal.
I'm saying that's a not
It's not typical at all.
It's not typical for
and that's
people.
where things get weird.
Yes, I mean that's not typical for people to.
We
think
did not
that
just
way.
wake up one day and think of these weird things.
Right.
No, we were jacked up.
We were.
We didn't know who we were. We were jacked up. We didn't I thought anything that was like this stuff that we're talking about, energy types and this and that, and emotion, getting stuck, whatever. I thought that was the weirdest thing ever. I didn't even care, didn't want to hear anything of it. But then one thing led to another, to another, to another. Eventually, if you have a growth mindset, you want to change, you want to improve, you want to learn more, you are going to keep figuring out new things, and you're going to be led to wherever you are led. And this is where we have been led. This is where and doesn't mean we stop and we've arrived and that's it. No, there's never an arrival. You will never arrive.
There's no end.
There's no end.
But do you really want an end?
Yeah.
How boring.
You can
get
to a destination, but you're going to go to another destination and another one and another one. That's the beauty of it. You get to keep going.
And if you're wondering at all, we were a full-blown train wreck. Like full-blown from the day we got married. Train wreck on top of a dumpster fire. Like there was nothing functioning other than the fact that we are both too stubborn to quit. That is literally our one quality that has.
If you don't believe in miracles, we're still married.
That's it.
That's a miracle.
The only thing that's kept this train going while it was on fire with carnage coming from it, which usually was our kids, is just our sheer inability to quit. And like playing chicken about who was going to quit first. You quit. I dare you. Quit. Do it.
Luckily, we didn't quit.
Right.
And we started learning things. And it's been a process. And here we are today.
Yes. So that's kind of the first challenge I would say is learn your rules, energy type. And that we're talking about the ones that we love. So if you love the Enneagram and that works for you, that is great. The only thing I would challenge you is at least go and learn the different ones so that you know what we're talking about.
Yeah, I would say no, that's not good enough. No, you need to learn your energy type, learn who you are, learn it really, really well. Because even if you know who you are, you need to understand how other people like you are and how you can be a pain in the butt to others. I'm serious. Like half the thing, I believe, it's not just learning who you are, learning how you suck. That matters.
In a non-shaming way. We're not shaming you.
No, we're not shaming you.
Don't go into shame and guilt.
No, but you need to understand.
But you suck. Because we suck. Everybody sucks.
It's not about shame. No, you suck. Figure it out. And then you can learn why you're offending so many people or why you think, oh, I told that person, I told them off, and boy, no, you didn't. You just invited them over and said, hey, best friend, come over to my house. You need to understand these things. You do. It's important. Learn who you are. Learn the other energy types. It's vital. You have to, because you need to understand your kid that you don't get along with, your spouse, your girlfriend, boyfriend, or some worker, a coworker, business relations, doesn't matter.
You need to understand the correlation between who you are and other people. It's not, I don't think it's good enough to just know who you are. Start there. If you don't know who you are, start there. That's a good starting point. But don't stop. I can't tell you how many people I know they know who they are, they know their energy type, or they know their Enneagram, or they know their human design, or they know whatever. They know that. And then they just stop. And all they keep saying is, I can't, I'm an introvert. I can't, I'm a type 4. I can't, I'm this. You don't understand. I'm a Gemini. I'm like, I don't care. So am I. I'm introvert, type 4, don't like being around people, and I learned how to do it.
You know what I like that you've said? You say everything is a skill.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Start with your who you are. Your authenticity is your level playing field. That's who you are. Now, the skills that you want to build on top of that, all it is your rules, energy type, Enneagram, human design, love language, any label you want to put on yourself. Okay? Any label you want to put on yourself. All that is where you're starting at. And then you look around and you say, okay, I am this label, this label, this label, this label. This is where I'm starting. Now, I'm an introvert who doesn't like talking to people, and I want to be a speaker on stage motivating people. All that means is now you know the different things you have to overcome to get to that point. That's all it is. Let's say you're an extrovert, type 3, go-getter, motivate, and you still want to be a motivational speaker. All that means is the struggles from where you are to that motivational speaker to where you want to be are different than the person who's shy and doesn't like talking to people. It's now just a different path. But now you have a path. You now know what you're going towards. If you don't know where you're starting, then you're going to be following every other person's path. You're going to go look on YouTube and you're going to find the extroverted person who's a motivational speaker, and they're going to be like, just willpower it. And you're like, I suck because I can't just willpower my way through it. And then you're going to find out, oh no, you're this type of person. That's why you can't do it the same way that person did it. That's all it is.
It's not right. We can go off on a lot of things.
It's just nobody's right and nobody's wrong. It's just you got to find your starting point so you know how to get to your ending point.
The only thing that is right or should be right is you being happy and being authentic with yourself. That's where it starts. Yeah. That needs to be right. That is right. You being happy and authentic is right. And then everything else can start fitting into that world.
Yeah. You get to be you while allowing other people to get to be them.
Yep.
That's the goal. I am this person. You are this person. Now, how do we not annoy each other? How do we work together? How do I not be a turd? How do you not be a turd? How do we be nice to each other? How do we do this? How do we talk? How do we communicate? That's all it is.